feel like it's something that like not talked about enough.
Hardly anyone knows what it is.
How would you know that, okay, I've got PMDD right now and it's not PMS? Have you ever felt like wanting to break up with like your partner?
Yeah, 100%.
Welcome back to another episode of the Pink Juice Pod. I actually have my first guest on today and I have no idea how to start this podcast because what the hell do I do with a guest? But anyway, my first guest is the one and only Imogen, as my best friend, but also as an advocate for PMDD and PMS. I'm actually really excited to have this conversation today because we're going to be talking about like really one of the highs and lows of being a woman and having PMDD and PMS, which is a topic that I don't know that much about, so I'm very excited to learn. So thank you so much for joining me today, Imogen.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to speak about this.
This is actually so exciting. So yeah, today we're talking about that time of the month where you don't want to exist as a woman, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, Imogen, so introduce yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm Imogen. I am an advocate for PMS, PMDD and women's health, and then I also work for a women's health brand, Evelyn Health.
That's so amazing. So to anyone that is listening right now that has never in their life heard of PMS or PMDD, what is it?
So PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's basically a hormonal mood disorder. So it's where your brain is reacting abnormally to the natural hormonal cycle, typically progesterone and estrogen. Similar with PMS, you are getting the same symptoms. So you're getting mood swings, brain fog, cramps, everything that comes with that horrible time of the month. But with PMDD, it is an extreme version. So women are wanting to not be here anymore. Like, unfortunately, that is a big thing. Like, a lot of women do commit suicide with PMDD. You have, like, it's debilitating, you don't want to get out of bed. Just a horrible condition that 5 to 8% of women have, and not many people know about it. It's often misdiagnosed. GPs aren't even clued up about it. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what PMDD is, and then PMS is a less extreme version, but it can still affect your life.
If you are someone that's struggling with PMDD, like how would you know that, okay, I've got PMDD right now and it's not PMS?
So often you wouldn't be able to get out of bed, like you wouldn't be able to function. That is the main thing. So with PMS, you can have days where you're not feeling like getting out of bed. You can want to break up your partner still, but with PMDD, you don't get out of bed. You are breaking up with your partner. Like, you cannot function as a human being during the luteal phase.
That sounds like so intense. And I feel like it's something that's not talked about enough.
100%. Hardly anyone knows what it is. And to be honest, before I even started working for Evelyn, I did not know what PMDD is. Even PMS, I've heard of PMS and I knew that you went through these symptoms before your period. But I actually thought that the symptoms occurred in your period. I didn't know that we had 4 phases of our cycle. I didn't know anything about being a woman, which is just so crazy. Because why are we not taught this?
Oh, I 100% relate. And I feel like I did not know until you started working for Evelyn. I did not know anything about PMS either. And then I realised I have it. From the symptoms you've described, I wouldn't say I've got PMDD. So sometimes when I'm in when I have PMS, I'm experiencing it, I do think, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like maybe I do have PMDD. But yeah, I did not know about any of this stuff until you start researching and looking into it and looking at the different cycles and the different phases, which is, like you say, just so crazy because as a woman, it impacts every single area of your life. And I know that today we're going to focus specifically on relationships, how they impact women in relationships, but also single women. Yeah, and I do get that, in my luteal phase, I get awful PMS. But can you also just tell us more about what are actually the 4 different cycles for women?
Yeah, so you have 4 phases to your cycle. The first one is menstruation. So this is when you are bleeding. You often feel tired in this phase. You don't really want to do anything. And then the next one is your follicular phase, which is the phase that you feel the best in. This is where you should be doing everything that you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to talk about later, but cycle syncing is such a good thing because when you're in this phase, you feel like you're on top of the world. And then you've got ovulation phase. So this is where you are feeling a little bit more flirty.
Yes.
This is what I like to describe as like the social butterfly phase.
Yeah.
You're more social in this time. But then, unfortunately, we have the luteal phase, which is where all them symptoms that we've previously discussed come in, and your PMS and PMDD will occur during the symptoms. So it's not actually the period when you get this, it's the phase before, which I think a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. I feel like also as a woman, like it's like it impacts your relationship so much, and there's so many women that don't know that we experience these things. And of course, if women don't know, how can we expect men to know this as well? Like, I don't know, like sometimes I look back on my previous relationships and I'm just like, oh, that explains why I was just so moody in that, and like taking everything out on like my partner, because of course I had like PMS, and if I don't know, how can I expect him to know? So yeah, and I totally love cycle syncing. So tell us more about cycle syncing. What is it?
So cycle syncing is adapting your lifestyle to the phases of your menstrual cycle. For example, in dating, what I would say is if you are going on a new date and you've never met them before, try and plan that in your follicular phase.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're going to feel the best, you're going to want to talk the most. So if you are doing that, then, you know, we need to book it in that phase. Obviously, there's going to be times where you can't do that, but I think planning your whole lifestyle, your gym routine, your food, your nutrition, everything can fit around your cycle. Whether that's like seed cycling, or like I said, adapting your exercise, so doing more of like HIIT workouts or more cardio during your follicular, and then in your luteal phase do things like yoga, Pilates, just adapting your lifestyle to fit that routine. Even in work,
Yeah.
it's such a
So
big
true.
thing. Get your stuff that you know you want done in your follicular phase, and then do the stuff that you know you can do in your luteal phase, so you're not putting that pressure on yourself in your luteal phase
Yeah.
where you're already feeling like...
This is why I'm doing this podcast today. I'm in my follicular phase.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Whereas in a week's time,
Exactly, you might not feel like that.
I actually recently cancelled a date because I was in my luteal phase, like a few days before my period, because I was like, I feel awful. I don't want to go talk to this person. I don't look my best. I don't feel my best. Like my mind was just like, oh my God, you're fat, you're ugly. And I'm just like having to remind myself, it's not me, it's the hormones.
Yeah.
Whereas like in my follicular phase, I'm literally like on the hinge, like I want to go on a date, like yeah. So what advice would you give to like a woman like me who is, you know, dating, is single, like when it comes to dating?
Around your cycle, if you know you're going to be in the luteal phase, you're not going to want to even look at them. Like their breathing could irritate you.
Literally.
And you don't want to throw away a potential match just because they're breathing wrong.
Wait, that literally sounds like something I would do. Like that's giving me the ick because you're literally tying your shoelace.
Yeah,
Disgustingly.
you don't want to do that. So make sure you're planning it during, you know, your follicular, your ovulation. And then I would just say, I think women who do suffer with PMS and PMDD, it feels like a taboo subject. And like sometimes you may not want to disclose that on the first date, which is completely fine. But I would open that you're really in touch with your cycle. You don't have to bring it up on the first date, but I don't think there's any shame in being that. Like I think that really shows character in the man. But yeah, I would definitely say go in your follicular phase. And if you are in your luteal phase, just be super kind to yourself. Just realise, as hard as it is, just know that it is your hormones. It's not you. You are not fat. You're not ugly. You are not... He doesn't breathe.
You don't hate him because of his breathing.
Yeah, you don't hate him because of his breathing. Just plan. Maybe if, like, you find yourself thinking, like, oh, he's breathed weird. Now I've got the ick. Plan another date in your follicular phase, and then you'll know. You'll truly
if
know.
If
he's breathing still,
he needs to go. No, this has really just triggered a memory in my mind because I went on a date recently, and I found that this topic just naturally came up because we were talking about like fitness and exercise. And we were talking about like gym and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, like sometimes I don't go to the gym, I just don't have the energy, it just depends on where I am in my cycle. And the guy was like, oh yeah, like it's so different for women, isn't it? So I was a bit like, oh, he has like some info on it, you know? So I thought that was quite like attractive, but obviously I didn't go into it, but we touched upon the topic. We can't ignore the fact that women have periods.
Yeah.
Every once a month, Like, men know that, women know that, right? So, like, why is it such a taboo thing on, like, dates? Like, I'm quite comfortable, well, not 100% comfortable talking about it, but
Yeah.
like, sometimes naturally it will go into that conversation.
I think it's like a level of maturity as well.
Yeah.
If the man or woman that you're going on a date with is not emotionally mature, then they're not going to want to. And also, I guess we have been brought up in a world where the periods are claimed as disgusting.
Yes.
Like, even on TV,
What the hell?
blood is blue. Like, you can't have red blood, you have blue blood. I mean, it's changed now, but only recently.
Well, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so on adverts, blood on TV was always blue.
What? Since I've never noticed this.
Honestly, look up old adverts and the blood is blue. Now it's red, but it used to be blue because, like, God forbid you looked at some period blood.
But I also find that, like, cycle syncing, changing my diet, changing my exercise, changing my routine. Like, I also have PCOS as well, so the luteal phase affects me like hell.
Yeah.
But once you start doing that, your periods get so much better. Like, I used to have really, really, like, uncomfortable, painful periods. In fact, with my ex, I was once in a restaurant. We were just sat down about to have dinner, and I just had so much pain because it was like a couple of days into my period. I was like, I can't sit here, enjoy this meal. And I had this, like, awful guilt. I was like, you need to take me home. Like, I just can't. I just need to be in bed right now. And luckily, he was quite understanding because I think he could just tell, like, I'm in a shit mood. But, like, it must be so hard for guys when they just don't know, like, because they just don't have that understanding. So, like, how do you have that conversation with, like, your partner?
I think being really open and honest with them is key, and communication is 100% the biggest thing that you can do. Letting them know, like, oh, just let you know, I'm coming into my luteal phase. I might want to kill you soon. Do you know what I mean?
Is that what you tell your fiance?
And then also there's really great apps where you can actually get your partner to sign into the app.
Yes.
And they can track your cycle with them.
Yes.
They can keep on top of it.
They're
they get
like,
a notification.
She's horny today.
Yeah, she's in her ovulation phase.
Let's go.
Like, they can track that. I mean, I don't know how many men do that. That is an option. And, like, there's apps like Stardust. I know they do it. And you can actually sign in and you get notifications when you're in your luteal phase.
I recently started using a new app called Lively, and I absolutely love it. This is not an ad, by the way. None of this podcast is an ad. Like, I'm just a girl starting a podcast. I don't really know what I'm doing. But I got this new app, and it basically tells you, like, eat, do, move. So every day it tells you what you should eat, what you should do, and how you should move. And you can get little widgets that'll tell you what day you're on. So, like, I'm in day 26. I should do a painting class.
Wow.
Gardening activities.
Wait, what's this?
Lively. We move, go for a nature walk, hiking or running. Well, we're going paddle later, so that's kind of similar. Eat celery, ashwagandha, lemon and red meat. And it will change. And I think it's just such a good app. Because it's just, like, gives you, like, these little micro nuggets, but on that app you can add your partner. I mean, I'm so single, I wouldn't add a partner, but
one day you'll be adding that partner.
I know.
But that's really good, that app, for people who don't know how to cycle sync. That just does the work for you.
Exactly.
You don't have to do the research.
Exactly.
It's just there. That's so good.
It's so good. I highly recommend everyone download this app. Not an ad. This is very recent.
I'm scared.
Okay, so you are engaged. How do you manage would you have PMS, PMDD symptoms?
Yeah, so I would say I've got, like, pretty severe PMS symptoms.
Okay.
And I give out advice to communicate, but that's one of my biggest things that I do not do. So when I'm snapping at Ben, or, like, he's breathing, like, he does something, I would love to be able to communicate that, but I just physically cannot. And how I describe it is, the way that the rage comes on is like boiling water bubbling through my veins. It's like I'm actually being taken over by this thing.
Oh my god, and I bet it's so minor as well.
Oh my goodness, do we have to talk about the lamp?
Let's talk about the lamp, right? Now is a good time to talk about unhinged thing we have done in our luteal phase. So tell us about the lamp.
Yeah, so the lamp. I was working away. We had just bought a house and we had these lamps. And Ben only built one lamp. He built his own lamp on his own side, and I got back from work. He was then working away. and the lamp was just sat there. The rage that went through me was actually insane. Like, I actually cried. I was that angry because I was just like, I can't believe he's done that. And then apparently it was because he built it for me, which just made me angrier. And then for the next 3 days, I honestly did, like, he was working away, I did not speak to him. If he replied to me, I would put like 1-word answers, and he phoned me like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, do not talk to me.
So you didn't say, I've just got really bad PMS right now?
Yeah, or like, I don't even know. Honestly, the rage that I felt. And then sometimes what I'll do, this is so psychopathic.
Oh no.
Sometimes if I'm like in a really bad place and I'm in bed crying, I don't want anyone to comfort me. I'm that sort of person that wants to cry on their own, but I want Ben to know that I'm crying.
Oh no, this is good.
Sometimes, I can't believe I'm admitting this out loud. You know when you're like when you're crying, sometimes I'll literally make that so exaggerated. He knows that I'm crying, but then as soon as he comes over to me, I'm like, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Does he know that you do this? Well, he's gonna know now.
He's gonna know now. But yeah. And I can't control that, like, it just happens.
Why do you think you do that?
I don't know. I think it's like I want comfort, but I'm embarrassed that I'm crying because I know that it's over nothing.
And also just his breathing. Like, can you just comfort me from afar?
Yeah.
Don't breathe while you do it.
Sometimes I'll be really hysterically crying and I want him to comfort me, but when he asks me what I'd be crying about, there actually is no reason. So that feels like the way I cry as well, you'd literally think my whole family had died. Like, it's crazy. So it's kind of embarrassing. Not that it is, but for me, I'm like, don't comfort me, because if you ask me what's wrong and I tell you, you are going to be like,
yeah,
what the
hell's going on?
Yeah.
No, but I feel like I get so like that as well. Like, I just get upset and I just cry. And I also get annoyed with myself, like if I do things wrong or if I've got really bad brain fog. Like, I would say I get 1 or 2 days that are like coming up to my period, but I can just tell when my energy's starting to dip.
Yeah.
And I can kind of tell when those days are gonna come now. But it's taken me, I would say, a good 2 years of like learning about my own cycle, about my own body. I think this is why I cancelled the date as well recently, because I was like, I don't want to freaking talk to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just get so like, I just get sad and I just cry, and I'm like, why am I crying? Yeah. Like, I don't get it. Well, I do get it, but it's just so, like, there's no reason for it other than, like, my hormones.
And in the moment, you feel it so hard.
Yeah, it's so deep.
Yeah.
But what do we do in those moments? Like, what advice do you have?
So I would say definitely taking yourself away from the situation and just taking, like, breaths and just calming down. Like, box breathing is really good in these, because your anxiety tends to be higher than normal. So things like box breathing, going on a walk and just having the fresh air, having the, like, just a little internal chat to yourself to just be like, yeah, you are okay, like, nothing's wrong, this is what's happening, you know, you're in your luteal phase. And then this is why tracking your cycle is such a big thing, because if you don't track your cycle and then randomly you're crying over dropping a pencil on the floor, you don't know why you're crying over that, but really you're in your luteal phase. But because you don't track, you don't know. So tracking is also such an important aspect. Yeah. So you are clued up on what's going on.
Yeah, and you end up having more compassion for yourself as well. So I literally need to know, have you ever felt like wanting to break up with, like, your partner?
Yeah, 100%. But it's so hard because I know that I don't want to break up with him.
Yeah.
But there's, like, little things in that phase that build up, and I'm like, oh my God, like, can I live like this? Can I live with him breathing loudly? Live with him building one lamp? And then it's like the switch happens and you go into your follicular phase, and then you feel so guilty for having them thoughts. I think a big part of PMS and PMDD is guilt. Like, I know that's not a medical symptom, but I think the guilt that comes along with that is definitely such a big part. But yeah, 100%, like, these things build and build and build, and then you just think to yourself, this is it, I can't do it. I know people who have literally packed their, and they leave every single month, and they're like, I'm leaving you, bye. And then they come back in their follicular phase like, I'm so sorry. And, like, people's relationships get destroyed because of this, especially with PMDD, because how can, unless you have such an understanding partner, it must be so difficult to kind of wrap your head around that, especially as a man who literally has a 24-hour cycle. Like, how difficult it must be to be with someone who's literally leaving you every month. Like,
what advice do you have for those relationships? Like,
honestly, communication, like, that is the biggest thing. Like, if they know this isn't you, like, really communicate what happens. There is a switch. You have a switch. As soon as your luteal phase comes, it's like everything's gone down. Like, you have him track your cycle, you know, to prepare him for these things. But that is literally what you need to do.
Yeah.
Because if you don't communicate and he's just randomly thinking that you're leaving and breaking up with him, he can then be like, no, like, you're in your luteal phase, like, let's just talk about this when you get back in your follicular phase.
Yeah.
Don't rush anything. You can't think rationally. You're not going to think rationally. So having a partner who understands and you've communicated in and can go to you like, let's just take a breath, let's take a moment, without having that level of, well, go fuck yourself because you've done this and that.
Yeah. But like, for a woman who has those symptoms, what can she do throughout the luteal phase to make those symptoms less severe?
So you've got things like supplements that can help, nutrition, lifestyle changes, and then in more extreme cases, you can go on HRT, SRRIs, like antidepressants, and then in the most extreme cases, unfortunately, some women will have a hysterectomy to bring on early menopause and get everything out, which is such a shame because then they can't have kids. So some women are literally in the situation of, do I want kids or do I want to have a life where I can actually enjoy and not feel like this?
What, I never knew this.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's such a hard choice to make for a woman. Wow.
Such a hard decision. And especially if you are having a luteal phase that lasts 3 weeks. Like, not every single person's cycle is 1 week, 1 week, 1 week.
Yeah.
Like, some people genuinely have one good week or a couple of days where they feel like themselves again. And like, in that situation, if you are having only one good week, I can imagine how easy that decision is in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to throw away.
Oh my God, 3 weeks. Like, that, I can't even imagine that. I mean, the luteal phase for most women does last like 2 weeks. I actually recently saw a TikTok of Vicky Patterson talking about this, and she, like, the way she just described it, she used the metaphor of building a sandcastle. So you spend 2 weeks building this most gorgeous, beautiful sandcastle. You're so proud of it. And then all of a sudden this wave comes and just crushes it down. Like, in that 2 weeks that you're building, you'll feel fierce, confident, like just this incredible, ambitious woman, and then all of a sudden this wave comes in and you're crushing it and you have like low self-esteem, you hate yourself. And I was just like, oh my God, like, that is so true. And I think for me, like, it really varies because sometimes I notice that the luteal phase is a lot more worse, but sometimes I'm quite lucky. I have months or weeks that I'm like, oh, like, I didn't even notice I was in my luteal phase. And I think that's also really hard for a woman because it's not actually predictable every month. It's so different.
Yeah, no, it's not. And like, that's what also is hard for the other side. Obviously, it's harder for the woman because like, we're the ones going through it. But say you are in a relationship, he could be preparing for a really bad luteal phase that doesn't come. So on the flip side, as a man, it must be really confusing.
Yeah.
Like, this up and down thing, but ultimately it's the hardest for the woman.
I was doing a bit of research for this podcast. I was channeling my inner Stephen Bartlett. So I was just like, disclaimer, by the way, like, I don't have like any research background. I'm literally just a girl using the internet to find information on this. But I was mainly looking at TikTok, Reddit, Google forums and Facebook groups and stuff. And I found that in general, most of the people that are talking about their experiences are women in relationships. There's a lot of threads like PMDD and like PMDD and relationships breaking up. But there were actually that many women that were talking about PMDD or PMS whilst dating. And I was like, wow, are single women being neglected in the PMDD and PMS space? I don't know the answer to that, but it was just such an interesting observation.
It is super interesting. And like, when I think about the research papers that I've read and the stuff that I've read, it is all about relationships and romantic relationships. Not many people speak about even relationships with like friends, family.
Yeah.
So like, the dating world, there's not many things that have like touched on how you cope with dating whilst going through something so debilitating. Because ultimately, a lot of people wouldn't put themselves out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they feel so bad and they don't necessarily feel they can have a partner or this is so awful, deserve a partner.
Yeah.
Which is not the case at all. But in that time, you wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to find like an amazing man.
Yeah.
You're not thinking like that.
No, you're not.
Just thinking,
You're
I
so
don't deserve
blurred.
this.
And I actually did read a post from one woman on Reddit, and she was basically sharing like she just doesn't date anymore because she feels so low in her self-esteem that she thinks she doesn't bring anything to the table. And I just thought, like, that is so sad, like, for anyone to feel that way, you know? And the fact that we actually can't, like, of course we can do things to lessen the symptoms, but we can't change this. Like, these are the symptoms that person has, you know. And I was just like, I can't believe that I almost in a way did not know about this topic, you know.
It's awful, and it's so under-researched and so underfunded. Things have to change.
Yeah.
Like, so many women experience this, and it's just like, why are we not learning about this in school?
I don't know, there's so many things
to like
we don't
have
learn
her
about.
feel like that and not being able to date and not like put herself out there is just so sad.
Yeah. However, I will say I did actually find one research paper that was looking at the difference between single and married women. And this was actually a very huge Swedish study conducted in 2024. It was conducted on 15,000 women, and they were followed for 9 years. They found that women with severe PMDD were more likely to experience relationship breakups if they were already in a relationship, but if they were single with less severe PMDD symptoms, they found that those women didn't differ from women without PMDD. So I guess this does suggest, it goes back to like what we were just saying, that PMDD is a lot harder for women in relationships to maintain those relationships, which I guess it makes sense because you are having to navigate something that is happening to two people at the same time because it impacts the relationship.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like a really good example of this is recently, I don't know if you've watched Married at First Sight.
No.
Christina Goodsell was on there, and she had PMDD, and Kieran unfortunately wasn't able to cope with the dramatic change because it is such a switch. And unfortunately the relationship didn't work out. But that was such a good example of like seeing it in real light of how a man and a woman have a relationship, and the woman has two sides. Like, there's two versions of her. One of them she can't control, and the other is herself. And that's so difficult. And the guilt that you would end in a relationship is just... Yeah. Which is why being kind to yourself is so important. Like, really finding a way to do anything that makes you feel good. Like, find your happiness and really use that when you are in that space, because... even if it's just something as simple as like making a cup of tea, when you're that down, you need to really cling to that and like use that to find joy and just realise that this isn't you. This is something you can't control. It's not your fault, and there's no reason to feel guilty. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that much about Christina on Married at First Sight, but was this something like that was talked about on the TV show?
Yeah, so they kind of like followed her journey, and you got to see Christina in her luteal phase, and you got to really like see how he coped. And there was one point where they do the like couples intervention. I don't know if you've watched the show.
No, I haven't watched Married at First Sight.
Have you not?
No.
You'd really like it.
Oh, I'd be hooked. I'd be so upset. Maybe I need to watch it so I can talk about it.
You actually should. It'd be such a good topic.
I can't. I've been too addicted to Love Is Blind. I can't.
This is another good one. But basically they have like a marriage intervention where they like sit down with the love experts, and there's one point where Kieran's like, I cannot do this anymore, and it's so heartbreaking because Christina is literally like, that's fine, like I can't control it, I completely understand. And it's just so upsetting because it's like, it's so sad that you're just having to accept this because you think it's something that you have to accept. Like, you're just like, that's that. And like, she's explains that she's went through this her whole life. Yeah. Like, she can't maintain a relationship. So it's just so upsetting.
That is so upsetting. But ultimately, I just think that comes down to not being right for each other in alignment, because the right man be there with you through thick and thin. Yeah. So that just does go to show, like, it is down to alignment. If there is anyone listening to this right now that is struggling with PMDD or even severe PMS, where can they find out more information and get support?
So you have a lot of options. One of them is Evelyn Health. With Evelyn, we have a supplement that is specifically designed to support PMS and PMDD symptoms, but we're not only a supplement, we have free guides, free webinars, loads of free resources. If you do have your supplement on a subscription, you get a free consultation on how you can manage your symptoms. Then you've got organisations like the PMDD Project, which is the first charity for PMDD, IAMPD. They are also an organisation that has lots of information about PMS, PMDD and premenstrual conditions in general. And then we also have a community that you can join, which is a really great space where real women can come together and speak about their experiences, and we do lots of community events as well, so you can meet up with the community and bond over, basically trauma bond. This is what you're doing there.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
So how can someone join the community?
Join the community, you can follow us at We Are Evelyn, and if you go to the link in our bio, you can click the join our free community there, or you can go through our Facebook page.
So if anyone that is listening or watching this right now and is thinking, oh my God, I feel seen, I feel heard, this is literally me, and you think you are struggling with PMDD or severe PMS symptoms, then we actually have an exclusive discount code for you so that you can try Evelyn Health supplements. And that is Pink Juice 20, which you will find linked below. Mm-hmm. We have a final question for you, Imogen. What is something that you do to fill your own cup?
Oh, okay. So something I do to fill my own cup at the moment is reading books. It's taking time at night to have a complete switch off and have that time to escape into a completely different world. So that is how I fill my cup up at the moment. But it changes. Sometimes it's going on a walk, sometimes it's having ramen.
Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, guys, make sure that you subscribe, because I think this is what people say at the end of a podcast.
Yeah, subscribe, like and follow.
And thank you for joining and watching.